Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our Ted Lasso Season 3, Episode 10, reaction and review. This episode is titled International Break. And from the start, I'll just say that, I've seen a lot of people out there be sort of mixed on this season. And I think when the first two are just like so into the stratosphere, it's a hard bar to reach. But maybe I'm a Ted Lasso homer. Maybe I just believe. But it's like this episode was in that stratosphere for me. I adore this episode. It made me laugh. It emotionally broke me at one moment we'll get into. It resolved a lot of things as well.
That's the big thing that I came out of this episode with, is that it really resolved a lot, and we don't have much time left till the end of this season. And like we've said a couple times in these videos, they haven't necessarily said that it's the last final season. No one has come out and said that. At the same time, they have long said that there's only going to be 3 seasons, and after this episode, for me, they still haven't said anything, but it is starting to feel that this is the end. Like they really are wrapping things up.
Well, there's one key thing I need to do here before we move forward.
All right, here we go. I know. Oh, Rebecca, she's so cute. Oh, I love her so much.
I just want to know the origin story for that. Was it just like, did they go to Hannah Waddingham and be like, do you have anything unusual that you do to build confidence? Or did you just like come up with this on the spot?
She's just so wonderful. She's such a treasure.
Whoever knew that the shame woman from Game of Thrones could be such a delight.
I know she is.
I know. Okay, well, we of course have so much to get into here. But before we do go further, be sure to check out our Patreon. We have a link just right down there in the description. We have a couple of exclusive Ted Lasso videos over there that are well worth checking out, including a new one where we go on a deep dive of all things Ted, Becca, Ted, and Rebecca, and sort of lay out all of the groundwork that suggests that these two may be getting together at the end of this show. I know it's a topic everybody has opinions on, but if you look back, like there is some very interesting evidence there.
There's even some evidence in this episode, so let's jump into that away.
All right.
So everything that was going on with Rebecca in this episode, where it was like, oh, is she gonna, take Rupert's offer to become part of this like super league with all these other owners of football teams? She's not sure what happens. She pulls out the green matchbook. What's inside of it, attached to it? Oh, Ted's little army guy. It was so cute. And the fact that it was actually kind of like stuck to it, like lodged in it, and she had to kind of pull it apart. I was like, oh, if that's not a sign, I don't know what is. I mean, there's been so many signs this season already that these two are coming together, but like this was not only a sign for me that this is where they're going with it, but it was a sign for Rebecca of strength. I mean, if you all remember, the little army guy is someone that Ted gave to Rebecca sort of as a sign of strength. This guy will protect you, kind of thing. And then she makes that decision to go to this meeting, and she has this amazing speech during this meeting where she's like, you know what? Like, I don't want to be participating in this thing where we're going to like create a super league and make it more expensive. Like, how much money do we all need? And then she tells us, like, it's the first time I ever cared about Rupert at all. She tells this really touching story of Rupert sneaking into the games and how it was so important to him and how he got kicked out. 25 years later, he had bought the team and he went in and gave that security guard who kicked him out a huge raise. I was like, oh, I didn't expect that from Rupert at all. I thought it was going to be like, and he went in and fired him. I was like, no, he went in and gave him a big raise. I'm like, oh, wow. Okay. So there is something in Rupert. He wasn't always all bad. And then we have sort of this moment at the very end of it after everybody's like, yeah, and we're out and they're all covered in food. She has this moment with Rupert where he kind of, to me, the look on his face was like a realization of, I really blew it. Like, I had this woman who isn't only just stunningly beautiful, but she really loved me. Like, she remembered these stories about me that touched her heart, and it's touching my heart. And he goes to kiss her, and she's like, nah. And I think it was such an important moment for her because she said at the end of this episode where she was just like, I've moved on. I no longer want to beat Rupert. I want to like be good with the team. I want the team to win because I love my team. I love the guys. I was like, yes, we're here.
Man, this is such a good Rebecca episode. Like,
So good.
this has got to be top 5. And there's been a lot of good Rebecca episodes, but it's just like there's so many just little things that are really great. And then there's there's the big speech in front of everybody. I mean, that was like so heartfelt and so powerful. Like, I'm assuming that like this Super League story is based on, I know I'm not a big soccer person, so bear with me, but I'm pretty sure there were like stories about something like this happening a few years ago, and everybody kind of got up in arms, and it felt like this character really embodied how so many people really feel. And I grew up in Texas, so I kind of grew up around sports. I'm kind of like a casual basketball fan. Go Raptors, except they didn't win the lottery tonight. I'm sad we don't get Wimby, but okay, anyway. It really touched on why people care so much about sports and the local connections that they have and the value they feel, the memories they make. And I think her really diving into all that was really important. And it also answered, I think, another question that a lot of people have probably wondered, which is, why did Rebecca ever like Rupert in the first place? And I think it really shows that before, the money and the ego and the power, there's just this mischievous young guy trying to cause a little trouble to get in to Nelson Road to see Richmond play. And that came back a little bit with Rupert. He tried to be like the early fun-loving, not jerk Rupert, but it's too late. They handled it realistically.
He's still being a jerk. He's married. Like, no, Rupert, this isn't your moment. You blew it. It's gone. It's over. But you and Rebecca are on a much better spot now, where it's less about sort of the jabs back and forth. It really is moving forward now.
How many women has Rupert tried to kiss and or be with that are not his wife over the course of the season? I feel like it's 4 or 5 just that we've seen on screen.
Oh, it's quite a lot.
Rupert. But no, Rebecca ending this episode with Ted too. Like, it's interesting that is where they decide to end it. Like, I mean, I will say that, I love the Rebecca Ted friendship so much. And, if it's handled properly, like, I don't mind the relationship angle, but I think just the big question I still have about all of this is just like, how would it work? Like, he's probably going back to America. I can't envision a way that doesn't happen. She's owning a soccer club. It's like, if it was long distance where they had sort of a plan to eventually be together, that can work. But what's the plan? Like, I need somebody to tell me some answers.
We gotta wait and find out. And that's the thing. I mean, she's very wealthy. She could live wherever she wishes. And I mean, if she has the right people in place for the soccer club, I mean, she doesn't necessarily need to be there. There are things that she would be able to manage from afar until they figure out exactly where they're going to be or how it's going to work. Like, things are a little bit easier when somebody has money involved when it comes to long distance.
That it is true. It is true. And we do have a couple of episodes left, and that is, at first, it didn't feel like that was a lot of time to kind of explore a lot of this, but because of the work that they did in this episode, where it felt like they sort of cleaned some pieces off the board, we now, I think these next couple of episodes are probably going to be pretty Ted heavy. Like, we have a preview here at the YouTube channel. We suggest you guys check that out. And it seems like next week's going to be a big Ted heavy episode, and I'm pretty sure the finale kind of has to be as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's been some good Ted stuff this season, but there has been a lot less of him in a lot of these episodes, which, if this is the final season, which I assume that it probably is, I mean, that's okay, because there are other characters that we've all come to love and want to see good things for, like, everything that was going on with Roy and, Uncle's Day and that gift from his best friend Jamie. Oh, ow. Jamie was on fire with like the gifts and showing how much he cares of people wearing the number 24 and
Yeah.
giving that jersey. Oh my goodness, he's really changed.
Okay, I want to be at Uncle's Day. I'm just gonna make this clear right now. This I could have had a whole episode of just this. This was insanely entertaining. From the at first, I'll admit this, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I don't remember anything about Roy's sister having like a significant other in the present or anything like. I thought when Jamie was walking in, it was going to be that he and Roy's sister were dating, and then Roy did have that threat
Yeah,
later
he's
on.
like, no, your sister's fit.
But like I thought we were gonna go straight on into full-on brawl, but then it turns out that Phoebe invites him because it is Roy's best friend, and all of that was just so funny.
With such like thoughtful gifts from Jamie, from her as well, where it's like the red, orange, yellow. I'm like, oh, it's Roy. And that whole scene just broke me apart. It was so well done.
Yeah, and this is sort of the perfect Roy Kent story for this whole episode in a lot of ways, where it's kind of like so much of the season has been about him sort of getting lost in his own sort of bravado and machismo. He's Roy Kent. He has to look a certain way, be a certain way. He's got to swear at everybody. He's got to be like to people when they walk across him in the hallway. And it's like the shirt represents him kind of letting down the walls and being open and being vulnerable. And then he meets the teacher who I was really worried he was going to cheat on Keeley with last season.
I wasn't worried. I mean, yeah, he left out that part and it wasn't great. And, you know, he did talk to Keeley about it afterwards, but I was never worried he was going to actually do something like that. I don't think they wanted to like tarnish his character so much, but it was good that he ran into that teacher because it did give him that pause to be like, yeah, okay, you know what? I really did mess up with Keeley, and it's important for her to know that this didn't have anything to do with her, and that was a mess up that, you know, I had with myself, and that I've come out of that now. I'm, you know, feeling a different way. I'm putting myself out there in a way that I wasn't before, things that I needed to do to get here to be the man that I want to be with you. And there was that moment when he was reading that letter where I was just like, oh man, please, Keeley, just be like, I love you too. Let's go inside. And that minute that like he walked away, I was like, no, they're not going to just do that. There's no way until he came down the stairs. I'm like, okay, here we go.
Strutting out there with the bathrobe.
So cute.
Good on you, Roy Kent. My heart is now happy. By the way, I will give honorable mention for the teacher for the hilarious, she shot her shot with Roy, and then she's like cursing and kicking herself. She's like, great, I have to go back and be with these kids now. But
now I'm going to give myself a little sort of pat on the back here because I called this before that I knew that Jack was going to pull the funding. I felt it as soon as everything went sideways. I know Jack was kind of like, oh, you know, it's out of my control. Sure, it's not out of your control. I'm sure you had something to do with it, and everybody had something to do with it. And it left Keeley with no business. All of a sudden, her business is all gone, like all because she got involved with her boss. And then this video came out, and it just all fell apart. I had called that Rebecca was going to step up and be the person who was going to fund her and get her business back on the ground. I'm really glad that it did play out like that. I mean, Rebecca is business savvy. She's her best friend. She knows that Keeley can do this job, that Keeley's going to do this job so well. This is a good investment for Rebecca.
It's a good investment for Rebecca. It's a good solution for Keeley. I'm just sitting here being like, you guys should have found a way to do this, I don't know, a long time ago. Maybe you could have avoided this whole situation. I believe wholeheartedly that Jack knew everything and Jack just shut this down herself because I hate Jack. And it's just ultimately, you hurt Keeley. How dare you?
Oh, right.
I'm protecting.
No, it's good. It's all worked out. She's with Roy. This is where it needed to be.
Yeah, it's where it needed to be. And I had hope in my heart in this episode that we were moving in this direction. Like just the moment that we saw Phoebe, and it's just like whenever we see Phoebe on the show, good things just happen.
It's true.
It's just kind of like the natural order of things. But I love that Keeley's got the business back. I love that Barbara is back with her pants that say I like to say things about myself on my clothing or whatever.
So good.
I love that the tiger sculpture or whatever that is in the background is also still around.
The pink leopard.
Yeah, I don't even know. It's just some random big cat. But okay, no, I think all of these stories were really satisfying, and I think we can sort of walk away in these final episodes of this season being like, okay, we know that Roy and Keeley are back together. They're probably, knock on wood, they're probably not going to break them up at this point.
No, I mean, like, oh man, Ted Lasso, guys, don't,
No.
don't do that.
No. Now, okay, I will talk now about the moment of this episode that just like emotionally smashed me into pieces.
Yeah, we saw that Nate decided to leave Rupert after everything that happened. Man, did he ever really have a hard time with that? I kind of thought that Jade was going to be a little more involved, but she went to Poland. She was seeing family, friends, everything like that. But seeing Nate back with his family and to talk with his dad, I mean, it was such a good Nate episode.
I know. It's just, I also want to know, like, Nick Mohammed, I'm sure you're watching this video. Do you really know how to play? Like, that was really impressive. He had like the posture.
It's amazing.
Like, I mean, I think he's also like a comic who like performs on like roller skates. So he's a very eclectic guy.
He's talented.
I just feel like in general, this story for Nate was important that it was handled in this way, almost across the board. Like, you know, I really like Nate and Jade. I root for them, but to have it be sort of Nate's father, who he has had this like really strained relationship with, and the way even that his father said this, I think is probably kind of relatable to a lot of people out there when you sort of just like, you know, you're a little bit of an off-kilter kid and you want to sort of believe in your head that, okay, my parents know how to take care of me. My parents know how to handle. They're superhuman. They can read my mind. And it's just like, they're just humans. And Nate's father is just a human who realizes how smart and how gifted his son was, and he wanted him to be perfect and to find perfection in every little thing. And kind of in doing that, he lost sight of the fact that his son was also a person. Yeah. Just wanted to act that way. That scene with the two of them was so emotional. But then Nate in the locker room leaving that card for Will, who he has been horrible to ever since the first season, and it just said, "I'm sorry, Wonder Kid," and he put Wonder Kid. I broke apart. Like I really started to get choked up.
Yeah, and not only that, but like Will walking in and seeing that everything was washed, ready. He was coming in to like do his job, and he's looking around. He's like, oh, everybody's jerseys are done, pressed, clean, hanging, everything. And then the note, I was just like, oh my goodness, like you want an apology, man. Nate is your guy.
It's just sort of like Nate has thought all his life that, like, you know, people don't deserve great things because his father didn't give him great things. It didn't treat him great. And that's sort of like the model that he's had. And it's like now he's starting to fully see the different way and understand that different way. And he's just starting to treat people better. And I hope that this is just the beginning. I mean, I'm sure we'll talk more about Nate and Ted in the preview, but I hope that there's some moments coming for the two of them. Like, this just feels like a really, really nice stepping stone for the Wonder Kid on his road to greatness.
No, this episode really did tie up a lot of loose ends out there for a lot of our characters.
Let's talk for a moment here about the return of Edwin Akufo, a character who, in all honesty, I never thought we would ever see again.
So terrible to Sam. I mean, like, and it was nice to also see that little moment with Sam and, you know, Rebecca in the hallway. That was really cute. But no, he's horrible. he's so horrible. He was so crappy to Sam. I was just like, oh, come on.
Like, there's two schools of thought I have with this guy. There's like one part of me that is just like, you are way too over the top even for this show. I don't buy into you. But then at the same time, when he is like to Sam, I bought up all your reservations at the restaurant just so I could cancel them. I was just like, that is so mean and also really funny, but really, really mean.
Oh yeah, it was funny. The accents were all funny that he was putting out all the different voices that he had to be able to call in for all these reservations. And and then I bought this restaurant right down the road. We're gonna serve the same food as you and hot dogs. I was like, what is happening here? No,
Oh,
he's quite a character, but it was also a pretty difficult moment where he's like, you want to know why you're not on that team?
yeah.
Because I paid for you not to be on that team. I was just like, man, like he just can't catch a break.
No. And guess what? Bad stuff's going to come out about you, Edwin, because you treat people terribly. Sam is going to become a freaking superstar. He's going to be loved like in Nigeria, all over the world. He's not going to have a problem with this. Also, and I am going to say this now, and it is going to make some people in the comments very mad, and I'm sorry.
I have my Howard hat on. Let's go.
Chicago hot dogs. Not the best hot dog. Okay, here we go. Ranking hot dogs. Number 1, Texas. You got the chili, the no beans in the chili. That's very important. You got the sharp cheddar cheese. Maybe you put a little shredded onion on there. Texas dogs. Second place, New York. Very good dog, steamed bun. You get it with you get a lot of different signature. Okay, there's too much stuff on the Chicago dog. You got like a tomato, a big honking pickle. All this. Okay, there's too much.
Texas number 1 for hot dogs. Listen, Matt is on an island by himself, so anyone wants to come for him in the comments, just Matt.
I am also from Texas. I am a little bit biased in the situation. I'm just throwing that out there. Okay, a couple other little odds and ends from this episode. I did enjoy the very random rivalry between Danny and Van Dam. I think it's just really because, and once again, I don't know a lot about soccer, but I've been around people in the World Cup who take this like the most serious thing in the entire world. Yes. So it does not surprise me at all that once Danny is in international competition mode, he just becomes the Terminator.
He's just crushing all the Doritos and pouring them out. I was like, wow, okay. I did not expect that turn.
No, as a lover of Doritos, that made me very, very sad for Van Dam. Also on the airplane with his neck pillow, the headphones. He was just such a vibe.
It was such a vibe.
Yeah, I think this episode, it did a good job of sort of tying together a lot of the characters, just making us laugh, kind of reminding us of the soul of the show, even though we don't have a lot of Ted kind of throughout all this. They're kind of saving a lot of that.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have a lot to talk about in the preview about that, because it seems like it's gonna be a very heavy Ted episode. So make sure you check that preview out.
Yeah, and hopefully all this stuff with Roy and Keeley going in the right direction.
Yes.
We have happy moments ahead. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you here next time.